All right, let's bring in my panel. Liberal Senator Claire Chandler, Shadow Environment Minister Jono Duniam. Senators, welcome. I'll start with you if I can, Jono Duniam. The Teals today, the federal Teals, have come out and said at the next election they're going to push for a 75% reduction by 2035 in emissions. Now, this is a lot higher than Labor's current target of 43%. These Teals, I used to think they were Labor light, but I think they're just Greens in more expensive clothing. What do you think?
Well, there's a saying in politics I'm sure you and your viewers rather are familiar with, and that is you can't outgreen the Greens. But I think, Peter, we've just been proven wrong on that one. The Teals are very much outgreening the Greens on this one. 75% reduction in emissions in this country, and remembering that Australia only produces just over 1% of global emissions, it's rather a farcical effort that they're expecting Australians to go to save the planet, which won't happen, but it will drive up costs. But I've got a novel idea, and I think we should trial their target in their seats alone instead of dictating to the rest of the country what we should do.
Good idea.
Reduction in their seats and see how it goes.
Absolutely. They're all in beachside suburbs in Victoria and in New South Wales. We'll put wind farms all along the sand and see what people think about that. Let's go to the terrible reality, if I can, Claire Chandler. We've got 1,600 companies across Australia, manufacturing and construction in particular, that have announced insolvency in the past 6 months. Now, that's just a number of businesses. Of course, the number of jobs, thousands and thousands more. The PM talked a big game before the last election, saying he was going to bring manufacturing back to Australia, but a lot more is left under his watch than being returned. Why the big failure?
Well, Peter, I think the main reason we're seeing a failure here is because we've seen so many failures of this government, and we know that's because they have their priorities completely wrong. In the lead up to the last election, Prime Minister Albanese was more than happy to say that he was going to rebuild the manufacturing industry in Australia by the end of his first term of government. Well, we're halfway through that term now, and like you say, on those numbers, our manufacturing industry is only going backwards. Companies are leaving Australian shores, and we instead spent the first 18 months of the Albanese government talking about his failed voice referendum. So once again, this is another example of this government having its priorities absolutely wrong, and Australians are losing out as a result.
Jono, calls today again for the Environmental Defenders Office to be defunded. Tony Abbott defunded them back in 2014. Labor reinstated that funding. The judgment from Justice Charlesworth in this giant Santos case that's been brought down, I mean, it's absolutely embarrassing for this organisation. Surely taxpayers shouldn't be paying them to go against government decisions, government projects that our budget desperately needs.
Spot on. It should be a defunding of the EDO with immediate effect. I mean, Justice Charlesworth gave what I think is an uncharacteristically scathing assessment of the EDO's lack of integrity. The fact that they were manipulating and coaching witnesses to suit their arguments was, I think, astounding to read about, but it actually points to everything the Coalition have been saying about the EDO and why Tony Abbott, quite rightly, all those years ago, defunded this organisation. It doesn't deserve the support it's getting.